Discord user Slappy White with Radish Digital. That is digital with a J, right, Yo-Yo? And we are here today with a special BPX break room, and we're going to get to know Discord user MySteelers, a great community member at BlockPacks. And I'm excited to have Tex Hooper here to welcome him up on stage. And so, Tex, we're going to be talking with MySteelers today. And so, Tex, when I said, hey, Tex, Jen is MIA right now. She wasn't able to make this. To speak with MySteelers, and I said, "Hey, could you come on?" And I said, "Can you come on and talk with MySteelers?" You know, because it's and you're like, "Well, what's this about?" And the usual 50 questions you asked me, and I was like,
Yeah.
And you said, "What? He's not." Tell us, what did you say to me when I said we're getting to know MySteelers?
I didn't realize MySteelers was that new to the community. I thought he had been around a fair amount of time because he's very active in the community and stuff. And I don't know, I didn't realize he was new. So, and here he is, MySteelers. Welcome. Nice to
Thank
see
you.
you. How new are you?
I started, I think it was about a week or two before drop two of football.
Oh, okay.
So was that like around, is it September-ish, I think?
So
Yeah,
Tex,
it was
September, October.
just before the start of the season, wasn't it?
Tex, to your point, I've wanted to do this for a while. And I feel like he's not new anymore, but tell me you're not shocked finding out he's just dropped two football. You thought he was well before that, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. I thought he had been around the community for a long time.
Yeah. So MySteelers,
Yeah.
how do you feel though? Do you feel like I gotta imagine you don't feel like you're new, especially with the Boba Discord. So now there's a whole new wave of people kind of in our ecosystem, and you're much more knowledgeable than they are. So how do you feel?
Yeah, I don't know how much more knowledgeable I am than they are, but no, it's good. It was just as a very steep ramp. I had a lot of people helping me understanding what was going on. I asked a ton of stupid questions. Went through a legal pad, about half a legal pad, taking notes, and just kind of crammed trying to understand it. Because when I joined, it was like I said, right before the second break. I wanted to get involved with the second break, but then I had to understand what it was. I was told I needed to get a geek. It was actually, I think it was a couple days before the geek cutoff, if I remember right. Maybe it was actually after. Anyway, so I had to ramp up really quickly, but had a ton of help doing so, which was great.
The Tex, I think I need to get like keep some fake money near me that I can keep in a basket. When someone says something like what MySteelers does, I can just take the basket and just dump the cash towards the camera so all the bills come floating down. Because MySteelers, he sounds like when he said I had to understand what I was about to buy, all I kept thinking about is like, that's not very community like. You're just supposed to.
I was gonna say my involvement in BPX really wasn't like that. I didn't do a lot of I just kind of threw my money at it and said, seems fun, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, I did a little of that too.
All right, and so tell us about so how did you talked about when you first started, so how did you find BlockPacks?
Through SubHub. And
Okay.
so,
Okay.
which again,
Hold on, wait. How did you find SubHub?
So I've known SubHub. Well, I know Dusty, right? So this is my first question to him: is do people go by their logins or their real names? Like, do I call you SubHub or Dusty? And he's like, it doesn't matter, but everybody calls him SubHub. So I'm trying to.
Well, SubHub's the worst because he's SubHub. He's Dusty. He's Baker's Baseball, and what's his YouTube, which is something completely different too.
I didn't even know he had a YouTube.
When he's in these things with his name, it's something. All right, sorry. Anyway, you were making a point, MySteelers.
Yeah. So I've known him for probably 6 or 8 years through physical card collecting. So what had happened was my son and I were buying a bunch of Bowman Chrome rookies, and we had somebody at a show, and he goes, hey, have you ever heard of having your cards cleaned or prepped? I think he used, because you shouldn't say cleaned. And I was like, no. And he gave us his Facebook. And so I reached out to him, and it's kind of went crazy from there. And we've gone through, sometimes I wonder if I have more of his cards than my own cards and vice versa, because they're just going back and forth. But yeah, and he, I feel sorry for him because he's been the brunt of most of my questions. and my misstating things. You know, I call drops series, because in the physical world there's series 1, series 2 instead of drop 1, drop 2. And anyway, I bastardize all the terms, and he just bears with me and kind of helps me along with it.
And what is, so I know for SubHub is that Jams has a great story about a card that once SubHub was done. What's the term? Not cleaning. It's
Prepping.
Prepping. Yeah.
Prepping. After he was done prepping it, the amount it had improved for the PSA grade, it was thousands. So the value is there to have Dusty. Do you have any one of those great stories where you had a card you took out of a slab and just from Dusty service it went through the roof?
Well, so I hope to, and I'll explain that in a second. But what?
Bring in a little
music. Okay, I was like, what the hell's that? So what? He's actually saved me more money, because we used to bring, back in the days of Prism, like Zion and the rookies around that, we would bring hundreds of cards to him, and he would just tell us, these will probably gem. I would do these. I wouldn't do these. And so instead of us and we say us, it's my son and I, instead of us submitting just tons of cards, Dusty helped us weed out what to submit and what wouldn't. I mean, I think I'm pretty critical when I look at a card, not nearly what Dusty is. And even, you know, there was one that he looked in person. It was a Kobe White RPA rookie year out of NT that I wanted him to submit. And he looked at it, he goes, nope, back left corner, don't do it. I was like, huh, okay. But the story, and this kind of ties to Bojack's, the story that, when I say I hope to have a good story, is last weekend I picked up a Jim Thorpe 1933 card. It was a PSA 1, and I actually was down in Dusty's neck of the woods. I tried calling him. I was actually going to drop it off same day. He's not really a morning person, and I probably shouldn't have done it anyway. So, and plus I had some other stuff to get him, so I came home with it. But the reason it ties to both, for those of you who don't know, is Jim Thorpe was obviously, I think, the first two-way professional player. And so Dusty has it now, and we'll see in, I guess, a few weeks. If it doesn't turn out, no harm, no foul. But I bought it as a PSA 1, and it's better than the other ones that I've seen out there.
Do you want to share with us?
That's awesome.
How much was the PSA 1 that you purchased? Like, what's the value you paid?
I paid $950 for it. There's two comps. There's two comps on 130 point that are 1,000, 1,050, which those look like they ended up in somebody's back pocket. This one has a little. It's a little aged. It's got some wrinkles, but we'll see what can happen with it.
And so, from all the cards, you have more experience than I do. But when Dusty's done prepping it, you know, what would be your hope for? I mean, obviously, it's not going to be a 10. You hope it could be this. You realistically believe it's at least going to be what, PSA grade?
If this gets to a 1.5, I'm happy. If it gets to a 2, then I'm taking him out for dinner and drinks and God knows what else. So if it gets beyond a 2, shoot, I don't know. I probably owe more than that.
Well, and so the difference
wild.
between a 1 and 2 from a financial standpoint is, what would a 2 be? I don't know what the population is, what the value is there.
I think it probably goes from about, I think it probably triples roughly.
Okay.
I think it goes to about $3,000.
And just so we're all clear, people watching this, and like we need to have SubHub's link so everybody can get to it. But of course, if you want to head into the Radish Digital Discord, you can tag SubHub grading. That's one way to get it. And the cost of the service for him to prep it, how much is it? That roughly.
I don't want to misquote it because I'd probably do it, but it's not. It's definitely worth it. I want to say was it $15-20, something like that.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's that much. Yeah, I think it's 10 to 15 maybe.
All right, so let's say
when I've dealt with him,
to be safe, it's on 25 or under for right now, and he runs specials all the time, like with the Bojack stuff. But I just want to stress what you're talking about. It's a worthwhile investment to see if you can do something better. That's great. And by the way, I know we have a number of people who are watching live. Of course, we are excited that people are going to watch this recorded. But for people who are watching live, if you want to drop in the chat how MySteelers got involved with block packs, if you just drop the person who got them involved, I'll send you 100 BPX, which I haven't checked the rate today, but that could be $1 million. It might be $1 million. I don't know, but I'll send you 100 BPX. So if you
can, I put the answer in the private chat?
No, you're in.
I was looking for the same. I was like, where's the chat?
All right. So MySteelers is your obviously your name, and you've got a fancy looking shirt there. So you want to talk
Yeah.
about how you came up with your Discord name?
Actually, two shirts because I always wear a T-shirt as well on Fridays, the Steelers shirt. Well, it's actually super simple. I have two names, so I'm older, kind of like Slappy. I'm a little bit older than Slappy, and so my eBay name is something else. It's my kid's initials, S Dad. So and so's dad, because I thought that was simple to remember. And then the other, I had to come up with another one, and I can't remember what it was for. And I thought MY, which were my initials, Steelers, so I would remember it. It was funny because Dusty was explaining to somebody, telling him the story. He said, well, no, he likes it because then when you call it out MySteelers, it's like you're adopting the Steelers yourself. And I'm like, well, that's kind of cool, but not true. But I let him go with it. So, yeah, it's just MY are my initials and Steelers.
That's great.
That's great. Now, since you're a big Steelers fan, where exactly in Pennsylvania do you live?
Right across the bridge from Seattle.
Oh, okay. Makes perfect sense. How did you become a Steelers fan?
Yeah.
So this will age me. When I first started watching football, 1975, I was 6 years old. So for those of you who want to do math, you can figure it out. And it was.
Wait. Texas reaching for the calculator right now.
I was told there'd be no math.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So and started watching them. It was Steel Curtain days. Mean Joe Green was my favorite player, which now, of course, I and other people are chasing autos of. No, I haven't gotten one yet, but I'm sure people will be, now that they know it, the price just went up for me and I'll get a bunch of DMs. And I just fell in love with them. And everything was football. Everything was Steelers. And obviously they had some very lean years. And I stuck with them. That was actually right before Seattle even had a team. So the Seahawks started a couple years later. And Seahawks are my second favorite team. So when the Steelers beat the Seahawks in Detroit for the Super Bowl, and when I say they beat, don't complain about the refs. I went to that game, and after that game, I walked out of there and I told somebody, I said, if I never go to another football game as long as I live, I've seen it, I've been there, I've done it, and I'm happy.
That's great.
So I have to ask you, is that we were talking about network television before we came on air. So speaking of network television, I think it was NBC, and maybe I saw it streamed on Peacock. But there was a show where they would take people's outrageous stories, and then they would have, I can't remember, they're famous hosts, actors or comedians. They'd sit around and, like, say you're the person telling the story. You'd come and sit down, and the two famous people are sitting across from you and, like, tell us about the story. And so as you're telling the story, it stops, and they actually film, like, the story you're talking about. And there was the one I remember, like, I watched, this is the one that hooked me. It was a good one. And I gave it a couple more tries after that, but never was as good as this. It was these guys in Pittsburgh that when I can't remember what Super Bowl it was, but they were talking about going to the Super Bowl, and, like, they had this beat up old bus. They drove there. They didn't have tickets. They climb over the fence. Like, at one point, the guy's in the lot. One of the guys, like, who's telling the story, he ends up in the locker room. He's in the locker room with the players, and the players like, who is this guy? But, like, different time, different era, and everything else. But so when you're talking about this, is that I'm gonna find the link. I'm gonna share it with you, MySteelers, because this is gonna be this story will be worth it. But do you have any crazy stories like that, like of you actually getting into trouble? Or doing something mischievous to get into a Steelers game?
Not quite. The closest I can come, I have plenty of stories that get me into trouble, but I should save those for a different day, and maybe a different show.
The late night show. We saved those for the late night show.
When I was in college, I wanted to go to a Steeler game, and shockingly, I couldn't get anybody else. I went to the University of Washington, so going from Seattle to Pittsburgh, and they're back in the Bubby Brister years, so that was not their highlight. And so I ended up through a fraternity alumni who used to actually play for the Huskies and the Steelers. I was talking to him in a function, and I said, hey, I want to go back for a game. He's like, well, if you do, tell this guy, gave me a name. He goes, tell him I sent you. And I was like, okay. So I call him up. There's no cell phones. There's no email. I call him up.
Sure.
I say, hey, I'm calling from Seattle. I want to come out for a game. I was Ray Pinney, who was the tackle back in the heyday. He's like, he said, I should give you a call. And it was our PR guy. And he goes, and his response was, well, if you really want to come out here, go ahead and send me a check and I'll get you a ticket. And I was like, okay. And so I did. And then he also said, well, and he goes, when are you coming into town? And I said, well, I'm coming into town, on probably Saturday morning or Friday night. Wasn't really sure yet. And he goes, well, if you get to town early, he goes, why don't you come and you can sit down on the field during the walkthrough they do the day before. And so, of course, I went out early, went to it. I was the only one out there except for a couple of kids running around throwing footballs. I was in heaven, like I'm at Three Rivers Stadium on the sideline watching their practice. I'd gotten there a little bit late for a bad reason. But anyway, it was great. And then afterwards, and this is back in the days with the disposable cameras, because it was that or your real camera, which I didn't really have as a college kid and didn't want to take it across the country. Had a disposable camera, took a bunch of pictures, got a picture because Mean Joe Green was the defensive line coach at the time. So got a picture with him. And yeah, I just absolutely loved it. They got killed. They lost to the Bears, which I don't think you can say very many times and actually be honest. But it was great. And that was the first time I went back to Pittsburgh for a game. And I think I've been back about 6 times for game, taking my boys for their birthdays and have some travel buddies.
I have, Tex, have you ever been to Pittsburgh?
I have been to Pittsburgh, yes.
To see a game?
I've actually been to a Steelers game. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I have, when my wife asked me where I wanted to go for my 40th birthday, I said Pittsburgh. And she goes, no, seriously. And I'm like, no, really, Pittsburgh. I used to go to Latrobe on business. And I will tell you, when you come through the tunnel from the airport at night with the 3 rivers and the bridges and the city lit up is like, I've been to all 50 states. I've been to over 30 countries. And when people laugh when I say it, but Pittsburgh at night is one of the prettiest cities in the world. And it just, there's a beauty there to it. And I still have not, I've gone to a number of Pirates games. I still haven't made it to the Steelers. But the question I have is, obviously Mean Joe Green is like, how mean was he to you? Where was he the nicest guy you've ever met?
He was fine. I just asked, hey, can I get a picture? And then he said, sure. And then I looked around and I thought, well, I'm holding a camera and I'm standing next to him. How do I get a picture? Yeah. And one of the defensive backs came by and grabbed the selfie. No, my arms aren't that long, and he was quite bigger. He was quite a bit bigger. One of the DBs came running by, grabbed the camera, took 3 pictures, handed it back to me, and ran back off the field. So
that is awesome. Do you know who the running back was, by the way?
It was a defensive back. I don't. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna find that. I looked quick. I gotta find that one because the best part is Terry Bradshaw's in this like recreated story. Because the thing is, at one point he's in the locker room talking to Terry Bradshaw, and Terry Bradshaw's like, "Who is this guy?" But Terry Bradshaw, when he's playing himself from his playing days, he's got a wig on. So it's Terry Bradshaw with a wig, like he's 30 years old again. Like I'll tell you what, like just the guy telling it. It's great. All right, so I was gonna close up my Steelers, but Tex, did you have anything final you wanted to say about it?
I just wanted to ask you. So, getting back to block packs in HGH and everything for a minute. So you've been in.
Wait, hold on. You can go there, but so you're all done on MySteelers. We're not gonna ask them about MySteelers anymore. The name.
Well, I think we got the answer, didn't we? Is there anything more to the name?
We're not cutting him off. He's not done. I just want to segment this. Like his name is done. So yes.
Okay. The name is done.
I know.
I got through my name. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. We need one of those like clapboards.
I know you don't work in show business, Tex, but like this is a good segue. So we're not. So go ahead with your segue now.
Continuing my segue, so you've been involved since drop 2 of football. You've now gone through Boba. What is your biggest hit to date? Or hits? Maybe you've had multiple big hits.
My biggest hit to date was this error card that I think there's about 4 of them. And it's the Bo Jackson 10X.
Oh, okay. Yo-Yo has one of those too, I think, doesn't he?
I think he might. And I think StubHub has one. So there's 3 of your 4.
Wow. Yeah. That's wild. That's really cool. That's a pretty big hit.
And so I still have behind me, I have a number of boxes that I haven't opened yet. But for the Boba, probably the Grandmama Bubblegum Auto, which again, Grandmama for me is back in the day when he played UNLV, Stacey Augman and those folks, and everybody else is like, who's Grandmama? So I remember him from the playing days.
Yeah, Grandma's that's a great card, especially the bubblegum. The bubblegums are so amazing. This
But
cards
I
are so
think there's
much fun.
something. I think there's something bigger in my boxes behind me. That's what I keep.
I can't believe you've had the willpower to not rip them.
And that's fine. How many boxes? How many boxes? What? How much was your order? How many of you ripped? How many of you bought on eBay or from other people? And how many do you have left to rip?
Well, I was too late to actually buy any direct, except
Ooh.
for on Thursday I
Oh.
got 2.
Oh,
So I kind of missed that.
Oh, I got skunked.
I have.
You didn't. You got Playmates. You got the Playmates. Tech.
What?
Still talking football here? No.
Tech, you picked up the Playmates. On
Yeah.
the Playmates. You picked those up. You couldn't get the booster on yesterday, but you picked up the Playmates.
I got the play mats, but yeah, I couldn't get the booster
Yeah, no,
boxes.
as
or
Jordan,
the,
as Jordan
promo
said, no,
packs.
but the Playmats are sold out. Those are a collector's item too. You did get the Playmates, as you call them.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's like talking to
Yes,
your,
I had
it's
a
like talking
typo.
to your-
Yes, Playmates.
it's like talking to your senile grandparent. Like literally, this was 24 hours ago. He picks up Playmats. He calls them Playmates. I'm trying to play with my partner here, but all right, there must be.
I've been at work. It's been a long day.
Hey, and so MySteelers, we saw something earlier. There are Playmates where he's working. So all right, so anyway.
Yeah, you saw a Playmate earlier.
Which, by the way, Tex, that goes to show we were talking about how shocked we were that MySteelers has not been he's only been around since drop 2. And when he just said he was not around for the geek sale for the boba, that is
Right.
again shocking. And by the way, Tex, that's how you do a segue to bring the conversation back. So MySteelers,
I'm writing this down.
so how many did you beat? Did you beat Galileo on your mileage tour on rounding up everything for the local stores?
No local stores in our area had ordered it. The closest one is in Bellingham, Washington, which is up kind of by the border.
How far is the drive?
Border. Hour and a half.
Not committed. Not committed, but go ahead.
Well, not at all. Well, and I cheated because I called him. He said he had it. I ordered him, and I said, by the way, my daughter lives up there, so she's going to come pick him up. And so I told her, I said, by the way, go do this. And I said, and while you're in there, ask him for a bubblegum card. And she's like, you what? And I said, just ask him. And she didn't. So he did have that. So, but I went up to, took our dog up so she could see him, and then I picked him up. But that was only two starter kits or something. It was very little. It wasn't very much. Did end up buying the bubblegum off him because I needed that.
And then when you say the starter
I
kit,
ordered it all online.
so are you talking about the trainer kit or the launch day bundle?
Launch day bundle. Because
Okay.
again, like I said, I'll bastardize all the names of
Yeah.
everything.
So hey, Errol, thanks for working today. So for the launch day bundles is that Tex doesn't believe in technology and blurring your background at all, and it's much better this way, to be honest. This is good TV. Hey, so anyway, you picked up 2, and what was the price point you got them, if you don't mind us asking?
Oh, I think it was what was it, $39 or whatever.
No.
SRP
Well,
was.
no. So the trainer that looks like a CD, that's the trainer kit, and then the launch day bundle is actually a box. So was it the CD like box, or is it the?
No, it was the bundle. It was
Yeah, well,
I
and
think $50. I think it was.
well, the MSRP was 59. So did you actually get it for MSRP? Because those are going.
No, I got it cheaper. Got them for $50.
Yeah, you got it for 50.
Wow, because
That's
those
nice.
are. Yeah, I mean, I know Tex, you picked up one for $90 on eBay. I was able to. One store had it listed for 170, 150, and on eBay they're going for 175. And I was proud that I got it for 90, but like I've never heard anyone get it for 50. All right, so you got 2 at 50, and what else did you pick up?
Oh, way too much of the blasters, but I was buying them around retail or suggested retail. I probably have. Was it probably a case? I haven't ripped many jumbos. I have a case here, and I have a couple more coming, couple more boxes coming. I have a case of Hobby, only ripped about 4 or 5 of those boxes, but and I think I have another case of blasters coming.
You think? You're not sure.
Yeah, it maybe.
Yeah, I do a lot of buying, and I don't do a lot of tracking, and then all of a sudden boxes show up, and I was like, oh, sweet. This is, it's kind of like when you go to breaks and you buy a bunch of stuff, and then it shows up and you get to open it all over again because you don't know what you have.
Did you get that Adley Rushman yet? I think it's going to arrive Monday, the auto.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
And I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
How'd you get an Edley Rushman?
I went to dinner with some friends, and I had a little tequila and a little wine, and then I started answering a text.
All righty. So a little private sale.
No, I was actually in an auction that I had no idea what it was or what I was doing.
Oh,
It was your.
well,
Snappy knows
alcohol
all
will
about
do that.
So in terms of this case of jumbos that are coming, so you bought those on eBay, a case or from a fellow community member?
No, it's my case of jumbo. So the case of boosters that are coming. I bought that off of. What did I buy it off of? YouTube, not YouTube. One of the social media things that has a. Again, I'm a old guy. Whatnot. I bought that off Whatnot. I did off the jumbos I was buying. I bought those off of. I just started calling shops out of state, basically.
Yep.
And trying to hustle and find them. Find out, basically ask them if they had it. They either had it or they had no idea what I was talking about. And those that had it, asked them what they wanted for it or what they had, and usually bought as much as they would offer me.
You know, my favorite thing is the shops in New England. I had Heisenberg and Longtar are the only ones up in New England that I know of besides me. And my favorite is one of my store owners. When I stopped in, I'm like, hey, do you have any hobbies left? And I already had bought his remaining jumbos. And he goes, yeah. He goes, people have been calling me nonstop about it from all over the country. He's like, guy from Chicago just like an hour ago. He's like, they want me to ship it. He's like, I'm not fucking dealing with that. Excuse my language. And so I'm like, thank you. And so what's great is all these guys I'm dealing with, they're all like, nobody wants to ship. And they're just like, listen, come in my store or don't bug me. And so what's great is like, I've been blessed to be able to have my local store. So I'm sorry, because the one thing I said early, MySteelers, and I was shocked by Saturday of Black Friday weekend that there weren't people actively calling every shop across the country. And it didn't seem evident it was happening at that time. But I thought to myself, I'm like, this should be happening. Like, why am I walking into a store and it was kind of sleepy, right? They had no idea what they had stumbled upon.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So with the boba, go ahead.
That won't happen again.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that won't happen come May.
Yeah. So I wanted to move on to some of the other silos, but Tex, did you have any other questions about boba with MySteelers?
No. Have you played the game, or are you just purely collecting at this point?
I watched my first game last night that
was
I
your
wasn't
first time?
playing. That was my first time watching it while I was trying to put a deck together, which is not the easiest, especially when you're limited in space. And so I actually I need to enter my plays and try to figure out what I'm doing. But I haven't figured out if I'm going to be a collector, if I'm going to try to put a deck together, or if I am going to do this as more of a buy, sell, turn stuff to, fund itself. And so I haven't quite figured that out yet, but
sounds like
the acquisition side right now.
Sounds like he's a member of the Radish Cabal, huh, Tex?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Hey, what happened to that guy who, before he ended up buying, had to have a plan and understand? Now he's like, I'm just going to buy everything I can and figure out what I'm doing after, whether I'm playing or flipping or long-term holding.
I'll wait till stuff stops showing up at the door, and then I'll figure out what I have.
Yeah. Well, the one thing about I'm probably the only person. Well, we may be only three of us online right now listening to this, but I'll probably be the only person either who is online or watches this who went to the National and saw the big boba setup and avoided it like the plague.
Really? Yes. Now, why is that?
I had no idea what it was.
Yeah, but you said
but you weren't at all curious.
Here's the deal. Dusty, the first time SubHub told me about it, like he was like the little kid on Christmas morning. He was so excited and his mouth was moving faster than his brain could, and he had no idea what was going on. He tried to explain it to me, and he's like, okay, who do you like? I like Jackie Robinson. He's like, well, look, there's a Jackie Robinson card here, and all you have to do is buy it with miles. Like, how do you get miles? He goes, well, you rip these packs. I was like, okay, you lost me. So I kind of went off, and so my son and I went to the National because we're trying to do a collection of Clemente and Jackie Robinson. And our chase card at the time, or the one we were looking for, was the 52 Jackie Robinson tops, which is a high number, which is expensive. And it's quite ridiculous when you buy something at an auction, when you pay the hammer fee and tax, Like that was probably more than we spent flying to the national and staying there. And plus we could see more of them. So we went out there looking for that. We went by the booth multiple times. They had a great setup. I mean, I remember Bo Jackson as a player, both football and baseball, and when he was at Auburn, never stopped, because it was, for us, it wasn't, I didn't know anything about it. And now that I know about it, I'm kicking myself.
Now, do you usually go to the National? Will you be going to the National in Chicago?
Tex, I just want to ask him a couple clarifying questions. So it was interesting, Tex, sorry, is that, no, because I like where you're going. I hadn't
So much for my segue.
Hey, pull it up. So when you said you avoided the boba, so it's interesting, you weren't avoiding Bo Jackson Battle Arena. You were avoiding what Dusty had talked about, which is miles and digital, and you earn reward and then you spend it at the reward store and you do all, like, that's what, when you saw the Battle Arena, you knew from based on what Dusty had said, this is all connected, and that's what you were avoiding, right?
Kind of. Well, what the thing is I have never done anything with gaming cards. I'm a pure sports card collector, and memorabilia and stuff like that. And so I didn't really understand it. I didn't know it, and I was more focused on getting what I thought I wanted, and instead of trying to learn about something new. And so I totally screwed the pooch on that one. The other thing, interesting fact on the National, and I'll tell you, I'll never forget the weekend it was, because, and my wife will never let me forget it. That was our 30th wedding anniversary. And as I told her, I'm going to the National, and she's like, that's great, you should go to the National. And I went, and I still hear about it. You know, she's like, oh, you want to know what we did for our 30th wedding anniversary? Matt went to a baseball card show, and I went to visit my sister. So that's going to cost me dearly.
Well, I have something similar happening to me. This, I don't know if you probably haven't gotten to the Wonders silo at all of Black Packs, but have you? Are you involved in Wonders?
Wait, hold on, wait. Are you going to segue there? Because you were going to segue to how many National. We got to close out National. And by the way, we welcome SubHub on.
Well, I was just going to say,
Wonders is a whole nother discussion we're about to get into.
Well, I was just going to say, they're having the big event in South Carolina for Wonders in March, and it just happens to fall during my wife's birthday. So I told my wife that this year I'm taking her to South Carolina for her birthday.
All right, so Tex,
that's how I'm getting there.
So Tex, that's great that you guys are brothers from another mother. Is that? But you were asking him about National, so it's interesting because it stands to reason if one National fell on his anniversary, multiple Nationals. So I'm willing to bet that was his first time at National. Tex.
Second, the first one I went to was for work.
Oh. All right.
So,
really?
Yep.
Why would work send you to the National Card Collectors Convention?
Because the company I work for, we had launched a sports memorabilia and trading cards online store, as well as different collectibles, and we wanted to go attract sellers for our platform.
And is that still a viable operation? That
site? I'm not involved in it as much anymore, but it's. I think it does okay. I actually haven't paid too much attention to it, to be honest with you.
Interesting. So you will be coming to Chicago this year, or yet to be determined?
Well, we talked about that actually at dinner last night. My wife was telling me about all these places she wanted to go, and she said Chicago. And I said, hey, you know what we could do? And she's like, I'm not going to a baseball card show. I was like, you don't have to go. We can go to Chicago. And so
Chicago's a big city. Not for her to do.
Yeah, the problem is I think she could outspend me in Chicago. Like, as much as I can do it at the show, so there's a tax.
It's just another cross to bear.
What is that, $1 million mile? My favorite is, I won't say who the community member is, but there's a community member who said he won through a company an outing to, I think it was Aruba. I think it's Aruba. Aruba's the one that's off the coast of Colombia, right? South America. I think that's where it's looking. But so I think it's Aruba. But anyway, they won a trip there, and he goes, "It's the most expensive free trip I've ever won in my life because his wife loved it so much. They've gone back like 7 times, so the free trip has now cost him, just thousands and thousands of dollars." But hey, by the way, Tex, I just want to welcome SubHub on stage, and Tex, I'm going to turn it over to you for just a second because I'm out of eggnog and I'm gonna go get another drink.
Oh, we're gonna go nog up.
But listen, it's that MySteelers has a kick-ass, and excuse my language, lost minor that we have to.
You're very blue today, Slappy. I must say, you're very blue. You're usually yelling at me for the language.
Oh yeah, I know. Blue is that. So we have to talk about lost minors. We have to talk about wonders, like you were talking about. And we'll go through it. We'll talk about cosmics if he's gotten into that at all, and then we'll also we'll go to lot and collision and see if he's hit that yet. Because I know Yo-Yo, Matt. But let's start off first with geeks because of course he was not able to purchase any of the boba stuff through the geek sale, and possibly because it was before his time, but also because he hadn't acquired a geek yet. So I want to kind of get into geeks and just see how he feels about geeks, how many geeks he owns, if he owns any, what he thinks about them. But if we can start out, Tex, just first with a word from SubHub.
Yeah.
The poor guy's been here and we haven't given him a chance to say a word.
Oh no!
Come on up, SubHub. Tell us a story about your buddy MySteelers here.
About Steelers, I think the funniest one.
Careful.
Oops. Okay, maybe I shouldn't tell
that
one.
And I tried to get him in a flannel shirt before we went live.
Yeah, I saw that.
I changed my shirt. Funny. I upgraded.
So probably the time when I was telling him about HTH, and like he was kind of alluding to, like my mouth was moving faster than my brain could think, and it was just so much information, and I could see him just like glazing over, like I have no idea what you're even talking about. And I just kept like giving him information and telling him what a great community it is and how much fun I'm having collecting. And so that was probably the best moment because he actually did come check it out. It did take him a month or two, but he did end up coming over and checking it out, and he fell in love with it, I think, as well. I mean, he could attest to that more than I can, but it's a lot of fun collecting, and I like the way it's set up, and Frenchie's great, and it's been a roller coaster of fun.
Wonderful. Yeah. No. Now, MySteelers. So you're geek. Did you have any familiarity with the blockchain or anything like that before you got into all this? No. Okay.
I have adult kid. My sons are kind of dabbling in it, and more like ETH and stuff like that. And I was just more like, and I kind of tapped out on that. I was told I needed a geek, is what it was. Yeah. I was like, what's that? And they showed me a picture. I go, why the hell would I want one of those? And he's like, well, because you da-da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, hold on, slow down. And then I started writing shit down. Like, okay, I can get extra points for it. I get, so many points. I can buy so many boxes. I can submit cards for it. I can do this. And so, I think I bought one right away. And Dusty, I don't remember if you told me where to buy it or I don't even remember where I got it, to be honest with you. And so I had one, and then it took me about 20 minutes or 30 minutes to figure out how to make it be my little PFP thing because I didn't have anything else. And so, and then after that, and
MySteelers, when you said you bought the original Geek, what level? All-Star, Hero, or Legend? Which one was it?
It was a Hero.
It was a Hero.
It was a Hero.
Oh, yeah, Hero.
And
nice.
There's a funny story to this because he had it for like a couple weeks, or what felt like a couple weeks at least. And he had some color pops, and then he's like, so wait a second. He's like, I can only boost 2 color pops, and I'm like, yeah. He's like, but I have like 6 color pops, and 3 of them are really good. I'm like, yeah, but you got to get more geeks, and then you could stack them, and then you'll get points for those. And he's like, wait, I need to get more geeks? I already have one. I'm like, yeah, they stack, and that's how you build like your collection. And then like the next thing you know, he's buying a huge lot of geeks from somebody, and he's stacked
really?
Up. Yeah.
So how many do you own now?
I think 7. or so. I think I only have a couple All-Stars, but it was somebody else was said that they loved what it was about, but they just didn't have the time, and so I bought his collection, and which came with, I had a couple Legends, a couple more Heroes, and then a few
Wow.
All-Stars.
So it's kind of like your Battle Arena collection. You be honest, you don't know how many Legends are in that collection, do you? You don't know the breakdown.
I think I have 2.
You think. You don't know for sure. Hey, Tex, how many Legends do you have?
I have 1.
And are you sure, or is it about 1?
Oh, I'm quite sure.
Okay, all right. Subbub, how many Legends do you have?
I have 4.
Is it about 4, or do you know it's 4?
I know it's 4.
Okay.
2, 5, 1. 2 Legends, 5 Heroes, and 1 All-Star.
I need a hero. Yesterday. I don't have a hero. I have an All-Star and a Legend. I need a hero.
Well, James Jr. is what we'll call you, MySteelers. So in terms of the heroes, of course Frenchie came out with the announcement, and you haven't been in the community as long, but one of the things folks have talked about is they want to see more perks for geeks, and people just have gotten used to, right, looking for that benefit, and rightly or wrongly, that's how they feel. And so people were kind of excited when they saw Frenchie make the announcement about, hey, I want to put geeks back where they were, kind of at the forefront. Mm-hmm. So has that changed your thinking at all? Or you got it because you wanted to power up your color pops? But seeing Frenchie's announcement, do you feel like, hey, I'm glad I made it? Or do you say, I need more? Or you're like, no, I'm good with where I am right now with my geeks?
I'm glad I have them. And it's as much for the color pops as it is the pre-sale. Now that I can actually participate, and I did in the third release. I think with that, I'm interested in more. I'm not like, that's not on the top of my list, but it's, if I come across some, then I definitely would get more.
Well, what's the price right now? All-Star, Hero, or Legend? This is a great platform. You have ability to tell people right now, like, what's your standing offer for All-Star, Hero, and Legend? Like, obviously at a discounted price, but people looking.
I have no idea what to go for, honestly. Right. Actually, I will tell you this, and this is the negative part of the community. First of all, I'll say community is awesome, and anybody starting out, it's great because there's a ton of people that are willing to help that you don't even know, and they're helping you out, and you're kind of wondering, are they really helping me, or is there a hook here, and they're really helping you. Again, having Dusty is huge, and then the folks he knows because he's been here for a while. I will say that the first day, a scammer hit me up, wanted to sell me a bunch of stuff, and I looked at it, and it had actually, so this was just dumb luck. It was under the name Patches, which everybody knows there's a Patches out there that's all over the place. Mm-hmm. And the little, I don't even know what it's called, what's the little name underneath it, their login or whatever, it said DustyB77, which is what Dusty's is, which I had seen. So I texted him, I was like, dude, do you have 2 accounts here? And he's like, no. And I told him about it. He goes, dude, it's a scammer. And I was like, well, good thing I didn't buy anything. But and then this morning I had a scammer. It hit me up, wanted to sell geeks, and I was all over it. It was too good to be true. And then I had actually posted it just because, he was came across, he was stole something, was trying to look as he was somebody else. He, I think, was under GT. There is a good GT out there. I've told them this is the not good GT, and he was trying to tell me all this great stuff. Anyway, so I don't remember what the question was. What do I think about? I don't know what the prices are on them right now.
Yeah.
Actually,
what would you pay?
I'm looking
as little as humanly possible. You know that, Dusty.
I'm looking on OpenSea right now. A Hero Geek. The lowest Hero Geek is at $781 right now.
I will sell all of mine for that.
Well,
I was going to say I might be selling. I may be a seller.
Well, and that's
look at
there's
sales.
An All-Star Geek for $603.
Well, and that's always
geeks are definitely on the rise.
The problem with these assets is that there's a listing floor and there's the actual floor.
Yes.
And in block packs represents in a system where supply and demand should meet itself and you establish a price. Block packs is a very difficult place because you have a group, you don't have masses trying to beat down the door to buy the product, i.e. geeks, but you have a group of holders who see so much potential and value and loyalty to it, they're not willing to let go unless for an exorbitant price. So it creates this artificial marketplace that's just not based on supply and demand. But I mean, it is to a certain extent. People aren't willing to let go. But what ends up happening is, I mean, I would bet half the sales are from people who have to liquidate, who need to raise funds. And then they just go in and they're accepting the offer. And I mean, that's why you hear the stories about the people who put out the WETH offers and say, I've got the standing offer. And you, especially in lost miners, you see that hit. So that's a good segue. Tex, you want to write that down? Heading over to lost miner.
I'm making a note as we speak.
So on the lost miner is, where did you get that? Where'd you get that lost miner? And I love your PFP, MySteelers. And what just out of curiosity, it's arbitrary, but where does OpenSea rank it on 10,000? Is that a top 1,000 miner?
That's a really good question. I have no idea.
What's your OpenSea account? Is it MySteelers? While you answer the question,
MySteelers.
Okay.
Yep.
So how did you get that PFP?
I have two. I got that. I actually bought that from Legend. There was a couple weeks ago, a bunch of people, somebody dumped a handful of miners. And again, it was one of those things that Dusty was telling me I had to get one. I asked why, and he said, you just have to. And it was like, well, what's it do? And he goes, absolutely nothing, but you have to have one. I was like, awesome. Still trying to figure out. And I was actually looking for one in Steeler colors. Couldn't find really one at the right price. And it's because he's also like, you'll know when you find one that's kind of cool, that kind of resonates with you, pick it up. And so Legend had bought this. I'd asked a couple people who had picked them up. I think they're relatively cheap, but I think they're above floor miners, if that's what you'd call them, as far as the floor. And so he had picked it up cheap, and so he sold it to me. And then it took me about, I don't know, a week to figure out how to make it my PFP. And Dusty knows about that, because I was like, this is how I'm doing it. And it was like, it was a pain in the ass.
Did he sell it to you for what he bought it at?
No.
A little bit more.
I think he made $50 on me or so. But I think I was willing to pay it. And it's probably, could you have sold it for more? Probably. So, I mean, I'm happy I got one. And then I just picked up another one. I think last week I got another one.
Mm-hmm. And so MySteelers, when we look at OpenSea, is that I can see you haven't changed your PFP on your account. So the next thing you have to do, and that one's really easy, that's your profile pic. So you got to go into OpenSea and put that baby in there. So, and the other thing is that helps people understand the scamming, like, right? You keep that, people know, like, because when you have that orange moon, you look like a scammer temporary account. What were you going to say, Tex?
I was just going to say, you're in looking at Steelers' OpenSea account. So am I. He has a pretty nice miner in there, a sub 1,000 miner, which is a really nice one.
That's the one we're talking about. That's his PFP, the non-cowboy.
Yeah, it's the non-cowboy one. It's what is the name of that one? They're why can't I think of the name?
Oh, you talk about not Yeti, but the Tommy
Knocker. Tommy Knocker.
It's a 885. So you're ranked in. I look at, when I go in to look at the lost miners for sale, if anything's below 1,000, I go ahead generally and pick it up. Sometimes there's a female who makes it in, who's really not that special, and just by virtue of being a female. But no, I mean, you've got the gold pickaxe, you've got the wild, and I have to say, like, so MySteelers, when the 10,000 piece collection was being formed for the lost miners, are you familiar how they decided the art? Did you hear the story about this?
No.
So they had, and I mean, it's brilliant, right? Like, this is, I would like to see block packs kind of get back into this with the heroes, is that I would love for them, at least 5 of the heroes, say, like, we're going to have a nominating contest. Like, who do you think should be a hero? And, like, put it in, whittle it down, the community vote on it. I'd love for them to give us a couple art iterations, and then we vote on which one we like best. I'd love to get, that's kind of how block packs has always been. They're super busy. So I know why it's hard to do that, because that builds into the schedule and it's so tight. So I know I'm asking for a lot. First of all, they try to do that. But what they did with the Lost Miners is they put artwork up, and you would go to a website and they kept a leaderboard of who had reviewed more. So, right, there's that incentive to see your name go up the leaderboard, and it was hot or not. And so you basically would thumb up or thumb down every time you saw a version of a Lost Miner. There were very different variants, and you're going through, and they use that data to figure out what artwork they should use for the 10,000 lost miners. And I bring this up because one, it was a great example of community involvement, but also is that I voted against every pink beard because I'm like, what the heck does that have to do with miners? And I'm like, no miner in Kentucky's going in with a freaking pink beard. But I will say I have wild pink hair and I love it. And looking at your miner is that, so you have a lot of unique things. It's a Tommy knocker, it's a gold shovel, and you have the wild pink beard, and you have, that's a cyborg too because of the eye, right? Is that
Yes.
It's a cyborg. So, and then it has the candle headlamp, right? Tex, that's a candle? Yeah, I mean, so the gold shovel is a top 1%. The Tommy Nogger cyborg is 1%. The pink beard is 0.97%, and the yellow headlamp's only 18%. I don't think that's candle. I think I'm saying that wrong. So that miner is amazing.
Well, thank you. And just to show you how much I know about it, I think when I reached out to Legend, I said, "How much you want with for the blue guy with the gold shovel?"
Yeah.
And I know that doesn't surprise Dusty in the least, right?
Nope.
Right, and so MySteelers, getting back to, Dusty said you had to have one. So did you go down the rabbit hole of looking at the white paper to understand the white paper on the lost miners and the ETH significance? Have you gone down that or not yet?
I haven't yet, no.
Okay. And so, but as a snapshot, do you know it's the last collection on the ETH blockchain before the merge?
Yeah, that's the last, and then Wonders of the First is the first, or whatever. So I understand that kind of first last thing, which was the other thing that I needed, what quote unquote needed to have, right? Is the
Right.
Wonders.
Yep.
So
yes, for as a collector, right? Of all the things in block packs, I love the geeks and everything else, but Tex, you'd agree, like you got to have a Wonder, got to have a lost miner.
Yes, definitely. And you have a couple very nice Wonders proofs. So that I see. Yeah.
And,
So
and those are about a week old in my possession, if that.
Oh, really? Oh, those are brand new, huh?
I picked up those and the my second miner, I think it was last week.
Great. Hey,
Wonderful.
Tex, that's a great segue. Why don't you talk to him about Wonders? Why don't you delve into that? Let's get into the Wonder silo.
Yeah, just MySteelers, how familiar are you with Wonders? Do you know what's all going on with it and how the cards break down and how the game is played? And
I don't know how the game is played. What I know about it is that I was not part of the Kickstarter because I was late, and therefore I did not have the opportunity to get get some of the slabs that are pre-sailing. Thankfully, had a couple friends that I could potentially tag on an order to, and so I did order some of those, and we'll see what happens.
wonderful. Hopefully, you'll hit a nice graded proof.
I love
And,
that.
which
proof
I
right
think-
there.
Yeah, that's a great one. Oh, I think that drop might be coming. It's supposed to be before Christmas, I think, isn't it, Slappy? Of those graded
Yep.
proof cards.
That was the plan. Yep.
Yeah, so hopefully, maybe sometime next week we'll get to rip those.
And
It's in
I
our
was opening
packs.
up
I
the
don't know
other
if you
tab.
saw that.
Oh, sorry, Subhub, go ahead.
Oh, I
What's
was just
that?
gonna say it's in our coming soon packs. I
Yeah,
don't know if you saw that. I noticed that today.
yeah, I
Ooh.
saw that in there. Yeah.
No, I didn't see that. But Tex, when you were asking him about the Wonders, I missed it while I was opening the tab. Is that you missed the Kickstarter? So you used the code. You were saying, MySteelers. Is that how you ended up picking up your slabs?
There's a good friend of mine was part of the Kickstarter, and so I may have tagged onto his order.
Okay.
And then out of
Okay.
curiosity last week when they sent out the email to everybody, I was like, if I click here, will it let me? And so I may have a couple coming that way too. I have less than 20, I'll say, coming, but it's more than 10.
Okay. And so
Good.
by the way, Subhub, how many do you have coming?
I only have, shoot, I didn't even count, but I think I have 9.
Okay. And you bought any extra, or those are just from all
Yeah,
your?
I bought 5 extra.
Okay. And Tex, what about you?
I think I have 11 coming. Maybe 1 or 2 more. Maybe 1 or 2 less. I can't remember for sure.
Okay. Okay, James Jr. You don't know how
I
many left.
know that one. I
So-
can't remember.
So, in how many extra did you purchase?
I think I only purchased 2 extra.
Okay. I do want to let you know that Tex, I brought up Rommel created this guide, which I still love it. If you go to wondersccg.com, well, it's a long URL. I'll go ahead and drop it here in the chat. But it is Christmas. That's when they have it scheduled for Rip Day. Is that
Christmas Day?
Christmas Day is when we're supposed to be able to rip.
Oh,
nice.
And so if you
that'd be fun.
Yeah. So if you go ahead and click there, you can end up seeing that. I think one of the things that's exciting about this, and that, it sounds like the three of you all have more experience with cards and LGSs than I do. But, I think when we all heard that Wonders was going to be delayed to Q1, and by the way, I call it Q2. They're scheduling in this for the last week. And Frenchie, I'm sure will hate this if I say this, but they're scheduling it for the last week of Q1. When you schedule something the last week of Q1, that's Q2 to me. So, just schedule it for Q2. And Frenchie's good because he wants his team. He wants to light the fire to them to help us out. But part of what happened is Battle Arena came in, right? This is something they couldn't slip. It had to come in for Black Friday. There was more of an impact on Black Friday than Wonders would. But looking at the overall strategy is this benefits us so much more. If you're an owner of Wonders and a Battle Arena, you want Battle Arena to be in there. And for those distributors and those connections to say, well, listen, the people who are running Battle Arena, they're also running Wonders. And if you want to keep getting the Battle Arena, you got to give Wonders a shot. You can't prop it up if it doesn't work. But I mean, from a business standpoint, they couldn't have front run Wonders and said, you're not going to get any more Wonders unless you take Bow. But you would say, we're not going to give you Bow unless you take Wonders. So I think this benefits Wonders. Don't you all agree?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
if they would have come out at the same time, it would have been a nightmare. I think this was the right move.
Yeah, I agree, and it'll be nice to have Wonders, kind of by itself, come March or I believe it's March, right? That they're end of March, I think is what they're shooting for.
March 20th. You made the reservation at the hotel. It's your
Yeah.
wife's anniversary.
Oh, that's right, the weekend. That's right. Yeah, it's been a long day. Okay, I've been here. I've been since 6 a.m.
Good thing Jen's not watching this. So, MySteelers, do you? Tex asked if you'd played Battle Arena. Have you played Wonders, the game?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so
I know very little about it, and honestly, so again, Dusty's my sounding board. It's he's probably annoyed, and I apologize many times, but it's like, hey, dude, look at this. Is this cool? And how much would you pay for it? Or is this a good price? And he's like, meh. And I just continuously, because I look at certain things, I was like, I think these are kind of cool. And so when I was buying them, I kind of went through and I think I gave him 5 of them. And I said, which of these? And he's like, well, if you don't buy that one, I will. So I was like, okay, I know for a fact I'm getting the red one. But no, I have not played the game. Like I said, I've not been into the collectible or the trading card game space. I think that's the thing that's unique about what they've done is you take somebody who has not done anything with collectible card games, and I'm loaded up on this. And I think you have the exact opposite. There was somebody I was trying to buy something from who said, hey, I'm a Magic the Gatherings guy, and I'm just trying to sell it. So it's actually, there's a sweet spot there that they've bridged 2 markets, which I think is great.
Well, and Tex, what I got out of that is if we're trying to sell something to MySteelers, I'm going to send $50 to Dusty and ask him to put in a good word for MySteelers.
Put the arm on him.
Oh yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I would not take that bribe. Steelers is my boy.
Yeah.
So MySteelers, are you familiar with the Geek Dinner at National?
Something else I missed out on last year? Yes, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Okay, but so right, and for folks who don't know who are watching this, if you end up picking up a Geek in the Block Packs ecosystem, and it's funny because when I was in Chicago last year, I would tell everybody who was, buying digital packs and they were interested, I said, listen, I would look, and an All-Star was at the time, Tex, it was like $200, I think, at the time in Chicago.
I know we should have loaded up if we were smart.
Well, but you could say that about
laying
everything.
$1 short as always.
But what I would tell people going there,
because it's always after the fact.
what I would tell people there though at National is that they would be there with a friend or a spouse, and I would say,
Mhm.
listen, how much is it going to cost you to go out and have dinner tonight, like at a nice restaurant? It's going to be $200. And how about going to a place where it's unlimited food, it's unlimited drink, and then there's going to be giveaways, and that's going to be, you could get an all-star for 175. So anytime national is going on and the all-stars are around 200, I want to pull my hair out, because it's like you get tired of going out to eat, like when you're a national or whatever, but like it's literally pays for itself.
Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself.
But this year, MySteelers is that this year compared to last year, Tex, the giveaways from Block Packs was insane. I mean, they had hats of all varieties. Barefoot Republic, they had HTH, they had T-shirts and everything. Wonders, Block Packs, like HTH. They had mats, they had games, they had it was insane. And then we even had the BoJack.
Yeah,
What's that?
Signed
Bow posters for
Dude, check these posters out.
He's going to show it, isn't he?
And-
I asked somebody 2 days ago if I think they'd sell it.
I think you're
Somebody
gonna have
had
to
it
kill
on.
your background, Slappy.
Yeah, I'll do that. I don't want to do it. You don't want to see in here, but
Yeah, somebody at Whatnot had one in the background. I asked him how much, and he said not for sale, unfortunately.
Yeah. Do we know how many of those exist? It's got to be. It can't be much more than 100, can it?
I think it's around 100 because he said they sent them out to the distributor, or not distributors.
Right, and I think they ended up with around 70 distributors that night at the event.
Around 20, 30 geeks, yeah.
Yeah, and then some of us geeks. Yeah, there's the geeks that were there. Some of us.
Oh, look who's right next to Bo. This is the only time I will say when it tastes. I used to work in politics, and so I'd be next to what they call it, ugly Hollywood. I didn't care if I was next to anybody, but I will say this is the one time
Ugly Hollywood.
when we went in to take a picture with Bo. I went right next to Bo. And by the way, Gen Con was one of the last ones to get in there. And Jen goes, "Oh, I know this person," and he grabs her and pulls her in front of him. And so I don't know, MySteelers, if you heard the story, but Jen was one of the ones who won the auction to be able to go film the commercial with Bo. And so his shirt wasn't ironed, and so Jen was putting her hand underneath his shirt and ironing it while it was on him. Did you hear about this?
No, I heard about the auction and how that played out, and I know it was. I think Yo-Yo went. I think was in the commercial as well. I think, wasn't he? Didn't he
Yeah,
go?
he was.
So.
Yeah, that was great.
This year's national is going to be insane with the Bow event, with the World Championships and the $100,000 Apex Apex tournament. It's going to be really wild. So
And-
this
and-
You are
is
not kidding. You are not kidding, because they got the A-list spot in the whole thing. They're with PSA. They're with the big boys.
they're with eBay, PSA, Upper Deck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be insane.
Well, the other thing is Chicago's just a better space. Cleveland
is.
Cleveland's big. Well, I shouldn't say that. Is that the booth in Chicago for Block Packs last year was phenomenal, and they couldn't get a bigger space. And the thing is, I think Cleveland's
2 years ago was Chicago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. But it's I guess so. Cleveland was a third of the space, I think, which is why they were reduced to. I mean, the space that Block Packs had this last year was nothing, and that's the biggest they could get because of the small space.
This year, I think they have the biggest space
Of anyone?
of anyone.
Yeah.
I believe that's
what
what
I
Jeff
heard.
told me. He wanted 100 by 100, and they couldn't give him that, but they gave him whatever the next, whatever the biggest was they could accommodate.
Holy
That
cow.
was under that, and he's right. We're right when you walk in. We're right on the main entrance. Basically, we're right next to. We're gonna be next to eBay and Fanatics and
For people listening,
all the
to
other
understand
top big companies.
how long Jeff has been in business, and if you even just take Bow Battle Arena, since the National, to be able to get a space like that is unbelievable. If you talk to
unheard
any
of.
other, if you talk to any other major sports card shop or even company, they would be blown away that someone this quickly got a space that big.
You're lucky to get a table, let alone a space.
In the back room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and let alone the biggest space in the main entrance hall.
Well, and I think for speaking of national coming up, Texas, we talked about this. The members of the Radish Cabal, Tex, myself, Jorzane, Rody, and Yo-Yo, is that we loved being together last year. Of course, we've got Airbnb. We had Ona staying with us, Petrarca staying with us, and this year though, we got to get there a couple days early because by the end of it, everybody's exhausted. And the other thing is, during the show, you're focused on just the booth and everything that's going on and hanging out with the other geeks. That we need to show up a couple days early. So that weekend before the show starts, like we got to get there so we actually can just hang out. So, and I can't wait to meet my Steelers there. And actually, SubHub, did you go to the National this last year?
No.
Okay, are you going to the one coming up?
I doubt it. I want to.
Yeah.
I want to.
No Apex deck for you then, right?
We're talking about that.
I'm building an Apex deck.
You could send
someone
someone in your place to play for you.
That's
Well,
what he's
I'm hoping this guy over here will
all right.
help me out.
That or we were joking to get my son to do it.
Yeah,
He's quicker than us, so we got a plan.
Wow. All right.
We're building a plan.
The team to beat. All right. Well, and I don't want to. We're right at an hour, Text. I do want to hit on a couple other spots. So, Cosmic, my Steeler, which used to be Barefoot Republic. Do you own any Parrots or Pirates?
No, I don't.
I don't see them in there. All right. And do you know about Barefoot Breeze, by the way? Their apparel company.
I do. That was the hey, what does this do? Oh, you get a discount on their clothing and that was about as far as I got.
Wait. That's way too dismissive. You've never touched Barefoot Breeze apparel, have you?
No.
SubHub, do you have any?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. So, Tex, go ahead. What were you going to say?
It's awesome. It's very high quality. It's one of the best t-shirts and
the t-shirts
pullovers
so
you'll ever buy. Yeah.
Go ahead, SubHub.
Yeah, the stuff is excellent.
The quality is by far better than any Hanes product or anything like that you could ever find. Like it's really plush, I will say.
It seems so stupid to start talking about like literally this is an infomercial now. We're talking about like clothing. But like honestly, my Steelers, like the clothes are like I know like Hawkwind, he threw out all his t-shirts and replaced them just with these. And it's my wife wears like Jams did it, but like my wife literally in the summer, she just wears, they have that UV repellent clothing that you wear, and it's insane, the offerings. And actually Kisher he's designed fashion outside of block packs and other jobs he's had, so he designed the Henley. But if you have a chance, I'm telling you, is that find a Parrot, load up on one of everything, get it delivered, and I guarantee you will be going back and buying as much as you can. I know Frenchie talked about the fact it's really funny. He made it sound like they were going to end the apparel portion and like this whole thing, and probably they have to because the Parrots are going away. But they haven't stopped it yet. So I will say it's a limited time offer. There's a shelf life, but my Steelers, if you get a chance. All right. So, and you have no interest in getting the Cosmics because again, your background is sports cards. So Cosmics is really not your thing at all.
I don't even know what it is. I know that's not great for marketing, but I don't.
No. Well, in all fairness, they haven't really explained what it is yet. It's basically the Pirates and Parrots are transferring to Cosmics and Travelers. Are they Travelers?
Something like that. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
So I don't want to misspeak, but they're transferring bodies, if you will, new characters, if you will. And so it's going to be the same basic game concept, which is kind of similar to Pokemon, I'll say.
Yeah.
But they haven't really explained it yet. So nobody really knows. If someone told you they know all about it, they're full of it because they haven't released that information yet.
Right. It's going to be, to your point about Pokemon, it's not going to be as advanced as Wonders. So it's meant to be a simpler game.
It was meant to be their like kind of entry level game, Pokemon style game, and then the Boba thing came along and kind of replaced that. But it's not completely dead. They're re-engineering it to be this Cosmics thing now, so it'll still continue as a card game, but like SubHub said, they're gonna rejigger it and kind of transform bodies, so to speak,
All right,
and
and
relaunch this.
So
Sorry,
I was
it-
just gonna say, so pirates and parrots will transfer into these cosmics. So if you own a pirate or parrot, you'll automatically get one of these cosmics.
I mean,
You can
if
pick
you,
up a parrot for around $200.
and if you, yeah, which you could buy for 50 a few months ago, but
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
if you believe in the Wonders model, this is the way to get in before the reveal. That's kind of the thinking. So, Dusty, before we ask my Steelers, since he always turns to you, let's did we talk to him about lot and collision? Has he gotten into that?
Yes, he does have. He has 5 aqua passes, so he's eligible for the extra bonus. Is that what you're talking about? Collision art?
Yeah, sure. Which is, yeah, right there is that. To your point, is that what we're looking at, Dusty?
Yep.
Okay, so you told him. Now, did you tell him about the options, or you said, "My Steelers, you have to get this"?
No, it's one of the things that I don't really know a lot about, and not only that, I don't see the value in it because since I've been here, they haven't released one yet. They've talked about it, but I don't, it doesn't hold a lot of value to me yet.
And well, in My Steelers, you mentioned you bought out somebody's wallet who was exiting. So did this come with that, or did you go out and specifically buy this?
No, that came with it. He explained that there's 4 or 5 different. How many I have? I have 5. There's 5 different ones, and he said what you do is you get one of the 5, and if it's perfect, then you get one of each. Great. If not, you can trade to get one of each, and that's as much as I know about it.
Yeah. I will say it's a smart scheme. It's a smart strategy on the part of blockbacks. I know one person who he actually doesn't buy HTH anymore, except he does this to meet his quota. And it's funny because it just people who are collectors, this is a collector item they have to be. And I think isn't it Tex Ghetto Icy who always asks about this. I think he's the one. There's somebody who's always pinging Eric and wants to know about it. So, but so My Steelers on your own, you would not have gone and bought this. It just happened to come as part of the wallet.
Yeah. And I even remember asking Dusty, I was like, hey, what are these things? And I go, how much value is there? Because I was trying to price it out. And he's like, people like them. We're not really sure what's going to happen. There hasn't been value, at least. Because I think, Dusty, how long have you been involved? Probably a year or so?
Not
Since
even.
April?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I own one of those. I went out and purchased one because I wanted to have one. But again, it hasn't done anything for me. And I did not know that if you had 5, that it got you the more rare one or something like that. Is that true? Have you heard that?
That I couldn't answer that.
Own 5?
Can you confirm that?
I don't know. That's news to me, but this was even before me when I came into Black Packs was this stuff. So I own a couple pieces, but I bought them more, just to have in my collection as part of Black Packs than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about looking at mine as that. All right.
Actually,
well,
I think one of the ones I own came from something we did as the Cabal.
Yes.
The Bobby Jones Aqua Edition. I think that was part of something we did as the Cabal.
Yes, we do have that for that. So My Steelers is that. Do you mind sharing, if you don't want to, but who is the member who exit? Whose wallet you bought? I mean, we all know that Petrarca and Smash, they bought out Pop's wallet, but was there a wallet that you bought out?
It was. Yeah. G Stud 10.
Oh, G Stud.
Yeah.
Yeah, G Study, good community member. Yeah, it's a lot of people. It's as it changes. It's funny. There were a number of physical card. You know what I find funny? The most people who've left over the last couple of years are physical card people who love the Raz games because the winnings were physical cards. And then when they kind of got away from that, then they were like, it's just, I'm a physical card person. It's gotten too digital for me. And I think back to those people. I'm like, those poor people. I'm like, here we are with the Bo Jackson Battle Arena and all those physical card people who left over the last year. And you're like, guess what? You just had to stay a little bit longer.
Yeah,
and
it's all physical now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And the printing of the HTH.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
I mean, they're doing a great job of doing both, which is, by the way, I know MySteelers, you've done it. SubHub, you've done it. And I'd love to, and we'll wrap it up here in a second, but Cloud and I were talking about the battle breaks. And so the latest idea we had is, and credit to Cloud, is that we were talking about doing a kind of a giant battle break where it's 1 box of football, drop 3, and 1 box of basketball, drop 1. So it would be a little more expensive to battle, but when you win 8 boxes. So you're guaranteed to have at least 1. You win, or you're guaranteed to have 2 boxes. You could win 8 boxes, but then the winner also wins a hobby box. But then here, this other thing is 10 of the people on stage would win. We'd have 2 hobby boxes. The ultimate winner gets a hobby box. The second, 10 people who are in the battle break would each win a pack from a separate hobby box. And then 10 would be random off to the audience and the stage members. So the stage members could win a second one, or if you didn't get one of them. But so we were thinking about doing that, like kind of morphing the digital and the physical. So we're doing battle breaks with HTH, but we're bringing in the physical to do it. So I don't know.
Let's do it.
All right, that's what I wanted to hear. If you thought it was a good idea, that's all I had to hear.
I'm in.
When is it? Tonight?
Good. That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Make my money.
I asked for the opinion on that.
Quickly, since today was drop day, did SubHub and MySteelers did you buy any basketball, and have you ripped it yet?
We bought it and Dusty crushed it. I've opened, and actually it's funny because I was earlier talking to Dusty. I've opened 3 boxes of what I have, but yeah, Dusty absolutely crushed it.
What did you hit, Dusty?
A big 5K golden ticket.
No way, really?
Yes, sir.
Nice. Oh, Merry friggin' Christmas.
I know. I know.
That's awesome. And I saw there's a really cool Allen Iverson patch card, like jersey patch card.
I really wanted that, and I didn't.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hey, I'm really sorry you got stuck with the $5,000 prize.
No.
I bet.
I haven't done. I'm not done opening.
Buy one.
I haven't done. I'm not done opening. If I hit one, I will trade him. I'm that nice of a guy. We'll trade. I'll trade with him.
This just happens to be a $5,000 card. It's just worked out that way.
My favorite part is when SubHub hit that 5,000. He ran right to his wife and goes, "This is why I do it. This is why I do it. I told you it would pay off."
No, he didn't. He said, "I'm not telling her about it because that 5K goes to 25K down to 500 real quick."
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so it's MySteelers. Anything else? And one thing I want to say, having SubHub on here, don't think SubHub it goes beyond our thought that we need to do this with you. So would you be willing to come back next week and SubHub? We can do the same thing with you.
Sure.
We'll grill you about your life.
Yeah.
As long as we can schedule it, I'm good.
Yeah. All right. Good. Like, let's get it. 4 of us back here. We'll put SubHub on the stage. We can do a little bit of. You know what? What I should have done in the beginning, just to really put him center stage, is that's how it should have been.
No, flip it back that other way. Put me in the little small picture.
All right. I'm going back down. But SubHub won't mind the limelight. And by the way, SubHub, if you want to put it in the private chat, put a link for how people can, the best way to get a hold. We talked about, I don't know if you caught it at the beginning, we were talking about your services, prepping the cards. And if you want to put the link, I'll put it in the chat so it goes out. So just put that in the private chat for me. But so
there was, real quick, Dusty, we were debating, we didn't know how much the service is, and I will also, this is the advertising plug, which is not nearly as good as what Yo-Yo says, but I know Dusty does have a 50% off, I think. If he doesn't, he will for December on the boba stuff. I do. So a little advertising there.
Just real quick, normally it is $15 per card, and that includes all of the review. It's like a 100-point review, front and back. I'll let you know if there's any issues with your card, and I'll also let you know what I think the approximate grade will be on your card. And that also would include a clean of your card, so wiping down the front and back, making sure there's no fingerprints or smudges, A lot of times there's little, what I call chrome dust on cards, and it's from the pack and from the factory, and it's really hard to see. But if your card's not cleaned off before it's sent in for grading, that little tiny thing can cause it from being a 10 to a 9. So that's all included in that price. I also input all the information of your cards and submit it for you, so you don't have to deal with the headaches of trying to input it, figuring out exactly what parallel it is. And but yeah, it's kind of like a no thought service where you send it to me, I take care of everything, and then when it's all done, I ship it back to you and you have a graded card.
And you deal with all grading companies, correct?
Correct. The only one I have not sent to is Tag, but I'm not opposed to it. I haven't done it yet.
Okay. Nice.
Tex, any final questions for MySteelers?
No, I think we touched everything. It was great meeting you. Sorry I didn't realize you were so new to the community. I thought you were old hat here with us, but it's great having you, and welcome aboard.
Thank you. No, it's been great. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, hold on. We're going to give you that final word in a second. Dusty's going to send me that link, and then
send you the Facebook.
I think he just dropped it, didn't he? No. Maybe
No,
not. Oh no, I thought you did.
that's my Discord there.
I've used Dusty's service several times. It's excellent. He does a phenomenal job, and I'm actually getting ready to. And now that I know the deadline's the end of December, I'll have to step it up a little bit. I have a bunch of boba cards. I'm getting ready to send them, so I'll have to send them a little sooner than I thought.
Is it like voting in a California election? Do we just need a postmark and can show up in March, or does that arrive by?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I'll accept postmark by December because it's a busy
December 31st, 11:59 p.m.
month.
So
Right.
when-
If it's handwritten on the envelope, is that
Yeah,
good?
right, yeah.
All right.
And that's my Facebook group as well.
And where did you put it? Where'd you put it, Dusty?
In your private message.
Oh, in Discord.
Yeah.
Okay, I will get that.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and put that there. And then the other.
Can I put it in here? I don't know if I can.
Yeah, no, there's a private chat in here, but that's okay. I got it. Hey, the other thing, Dusty, just to let you know, when you come on, Tex does this as well. But when you first join, it asks if you want to add your socials. So the other thing is when you're appearing here on one of the Radish shows, we'd love if you connected your Twitter and your YouTube, and it will actually broadcast live at the same time. It's one of the things Restream allows. Anybody on stage can do it. So if you have an audience and you feel like it's the type of conversation you want your followers to hear about, I encourage you to do that. Tex does that with all his. All right. So any final words, Subhub, before we go over to MySteelers? I know he gave a very polite farewell, but I'm going to ask him to do it again.
No, I would just say if you haven't checked out HTH and you've done boba or vice versa, you should check out the other because they're both really good products and it's a lot of fun and a great community.
Great, thank you. All right, let's see. For MySteelers, is that again, we've been trying to do this for a little while, and I have to tell you, MySteelers, there were a number of people in the community because for BPX Break Room, one of the regular features we used to do is we would take folks who are kind of new to the community, bring them up, and kind of get to know them. And so people know that's something we've done at Radish, and it wasn't one, it was several people who asked and said, hey, you know what, you got to bring MySteelers on. So we can learn a little bit more about them. But I think it also goes to the community. And what's great, Subhub, is like, I will say one of the things that's hard, it's the first time I've seen MySteelers. I've seen your face 100 times. And so what's great is you put yourself out there. And so I think for a lot of us, we feel like we really know you. And also you have a service that everybody raves about. I will say nobody's ever said a negative thing about Subhub in this service. Everybody just raves about the service. So just great customer service. And so I feel bad that we haven't had you on Subhub. And I'm like, well, now I know why. It's because we all kind of know you. Whereas MySteelers, you're always chiming in the Discord with patience and words of wisdom. And so it was great to get you up on stage to get to know people better. It's always better, right, when we know people as a person and a voice instead of just a digital image that you just can speak derisively towards. That
Right.
that's kind of what
100%.
we try to do.
It's a faceless nickname.
Yeah, and I mean, you're a great influence. Like, I'm not just buttering you up because you're here. It's like, I appreciate you're always trying to take the level down a notch. So I'm so grateful, not because you're buying into the ecosystem and we need more buyers, right? That helps our what we own in the ecosystem. I'm grateful that you're in our system because you're a genuinely good person who is trying to do the right thing. And I tell people all the time is the block packs community is the one place I can be my best. I'm my best self in the block packs community. I don't want to be anything less than my best self. The only time I'm better is around my kids. I want to be my best self as a role model for my kids. And I want to be my best self here because it's filled with great people like you, MySteelers. So I appreciate you joining us. And any final thoughts?
No, that's really nice. And I just plus one on the community aspect. I mean, there's so many people that are helpful, not only answering questions when you're trying to build sets. I mean, you just see it. It's like, hey, what can I send you back? They're like, don't worry about it. Pay it forward. I mean, it's just the community is awesome. I must be behaving myself in those chats because I think there's some other chats that I may not be I may be misbehaving a little bit. But no, it's really nice of you to have me on, and I appreciate it. And I've loved everything I've seen so far.
Awesome. All right. Well, I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, or whatever tradition you're celebrating this season. And I want to thank everybody for joining. By the way, I'm from Vermont, and I don't get the flannel comments. It's like I'm not being a hick or.
It's Flannel Friday.
Yeah,
Come
but
on.
I also
I
don't
missed the
get it.
memo.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's like when it's cold, what are you supposed to wear? Of course you wear flannel. All right. Anyway,
Wear a hoodie.
Plenty New Englanders.
yes, or a hoodie. All right, or your
Yeah.
your Steelers, MySteelers, or your Steelers.
Well, they have in Seattle. They have Blue Friday, which is all they wear Seahawk gear, and so like
okay.
I have to one up them somehow, and it's not It's not hard to do.
All right.
And we'll be exclusively on the Vacuum channel after midnight.
All right, everybody. This is Discord user Slappy White with Radish Digital. That's digital with a J. This has been BPX Break Room with a special focus on MySteelers. Looking forward to seeing you